Andrew J. Polk. Be a part of the show by calling 915-544-KTSM, 915-544-5876, or comment online on our stream at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. It's 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means it's time to talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on social media on the many pages that are up there, including facebook.com/Talk El Paso, Twitter @Talk El Paso, YouTube, Talk El Paso channel there as well, and over on Twitch as well, which is Andrew J. Polk. So search up the main parts of the name of the show, and you'll find us in all of those formats. Because getting out there and having the conversation in the community is kind of part of the reason this kind of show exists in the first place, and we got a lot to talk about today. I mean, I know I say that a lot, but particularly today, it's been a busy one in local stuff, and not even just the stuff that affects us here. Well, it's going to affect us here, but more specifically, the stuff, the actions that are originating here that will further go on, including a very impactful city council meeting. Got a few of some major items going on there that we'll get into here in just a second, but also going to be talking about those fun continued social media hearings going on in Capitol Hill. Yeah, those don't have any impact at all, right? Right, guys? Right? This is just academic, and we're not actually talking about massive impacts that are happening at most levels of life, right? Yeah. I know that I am referred to as the oldest 30-year-old that certain people I know, but it gets a little overwhelming sometimes. I mean, whoever thought we'd wax nostalgic for the days of MySpace and Zanga? Dating myself there. But a lot of impact coming from that. We got a little bit of audio that we'll play a little bit later in the program here. But let's get straight off with what's going on in the city council meeting. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, kind of the major one that is being discussed there. What is going on with what's the best way to put it? Review, examination, first estimation of what's going to be going on with the cost, specifically the cost, and what it would take to actually do it for that much debated downtown, technically that multi-purpose performing arts and entertainment center, MUC, or however the acronym comes out, also more commonly known, and most people will recognize locally, being referred to as the arena, and the whole Duranguito issue, of which we've been doing this for not quite 2012, like not immediately during that whole quality of life bond project vote, but maybe it's just the blur of history and time for me, but it feels like almost immediately after, right? Because this has been going on for literal years, and there are arguments to be made on all aspects, for, against, etc., etc., etc. But I think, again, my contention has been that for the average person, it's been kind of okay, so are we doing anything or what? Yes or no? Because, well, if we're not, then let's get over it. If we are, let's do it. And of course, there are people, kind of caught in the middle of all of this, more than kind of. We talked about a neighborhood being emptied out, to halfway quote someone who was watching this meeting that I was also looking at what they were talking about. But more specifically, the item on the agenda here today is about just how much is it actually going to cost? Because it has been pointed out by various persons in and around our area, there's a lot more going on with it than just, hey, we haven't quite gotten there yet. It is more specifically, okay, can the money that was even appropriated at that point in time sustain whatever the heck is supposed to be going on now? And according to some people covering it, posting up things about it, it looks like there is discrepancy about how to actually go about that at this point. Calls for either looking at having another study, a mini study, an instant study, or something like that. Quick turnaround to see what could actually be done, or if it should be something that could be analyzed in-house, coming out with numbers from the city departments that are involved in this kind of thing, which, I mean, they both have their merits. I'd kind of maybe be in favor of the latter, considering that the city departments who are going to have to actually do the analysis are then going to be the ones, I don't know, making it then happen, dealing with the contractors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the real question is, again, can we get anywhere even close to what was talked about? So years past, I did some in-depth analysis on just even performing arts venues in our area. And I know that we have a lot of sports stuff going on in and around this, but bear with me for a moment here. I looked at both, well, all of when we talked about some of the larger performing venues, including what was at the time Tricky Falls. So again, dating it there a bit, no longer that kind of performance venue anyway, now owned by one of the church groups in town and as a space for that kind of performance. Also places like McElligin Canyon, the Don Haskins Center, and of course the Sun Bowl. And we have kind of a gap here in town, Coliseum as well. We have kind of a gap here in town for not the biggest concerts, like when Rolling Stone's coming to town, taking over, the Sun Bowl makes sense, but not everyone can really do that. They often end up going somewhere between like the Coliseum and the Don Haskins Center, right? And of course, there's the whole kind of long-standing frustration / mild conspiracy theory when it comes to the exact size of the Don Haskins Center being of a size just small enough so that it could not be able to have, such as NCAA quarterfinals, would not have the seating capacity requirements for that, and that was done by angry regents and UT system, yada, yada, yada. Neither confirming nor denying that, nor that I have any idea if that's actually true or not. But that's the theory that's been going around and demonstrates the size of it there. So there's been a kind of in between then the, tens of thousands of people for the Sun Bowl and the roughly, 10, 12,000 on a good day for the Don Haskins Center and the performances that can happen there, ranging, again, in between that gap there, we haven't had a facility of that size. At least not McElligin Canyon's an interesting diversion, but weather dependent. Not a whole lot except of, the local productions are willing to risk a one-time, one-chance expenditure on going there when it comes to the traveling shows. So McElligin Canyon, it's a cool venue when it works out, just not a whole lot of particularly it's mostly end up being like a money decision of, well, we can't risk it. So looking to be in between that kind of a space would be the sweet spot. At the very least, the concept that has been most discussed about when it comes to people I'm talking about, etc., of the size of that particular facility. So does that remaining part, as we also have Leroy Chuck giving his description of it there, and also John Brazelton joining us over on the Facebook page, does that remaining funding equate to a facility that would fit in that guise? Because even if you don't really care about all these facilities and what performances are, I like going to concerts, so maybe that's more of a me issue when they can happen anyway. This past 2 years, whole Russian roulette of will it happen or not? We're going to get a refund or not. That's happened at least once. But at the very least, the discussion definitely seemed, at least the way it came to me, about are we just going to be replicating the Don Haskins Center? And if we're going to be smaller than that, why? If we're going to be the same size, also why? So maybe I am mistaken in my impression, but that was the idea. Somewhere, probably on the low end, but somewhere in between the capacity for various things of the Don Haskins Center and the Sun Bowl, filling in that gap, eventually having a team that those contentions, which I am very glad I'm not involved in these cases. But can that even happen? So that's the question to be addressed. And as some have pointed out, it's also a question that is not known at this point in time, despite literal years going on of activity in that neighborhood, mild, half kind of done demolitions, not quite, definitely people being moved around. So maybe this is a question we should have had answered a little while ago. Yeah. And then, of course, we got redistricting coming out from the city side of things. We're going to have to take that break right now and get more into that because, yeah, that's going to be its own interesting. May have a different representative coming up in the next election. So we got to take that break right now, a bit overdue. Coming back from the break, get into more of these issues and to get some of those nice, fun, simple, and not at all impacting social media hearings. Fun stuff. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Whatever you're doing, going about your day to get you through the end of it or get it started or just for the enjoyment of it, you might want to turn to what I do, and that's Clever Tea, KLEVRT, because locally produced. That's something that always entices me, makes me take, at the very least, a second look at a product, because supporting local more important than ever in a lot of the ways that we're talking about issues here, but at the same time, it's good stuff. Had a chance to try it out at a couple of local mixers and events and really got into the story of it being a local guy looking at the marketplace out there, not finding what he wanted and going out and making it. And literally making it here. Makes this Oolong Wise tea blend, which comes with a bunch of benefits, including a boosting energy levels, reducing anxiety, promoting better focus, strengthens immunity. I'd need all of those, and I can imagine that you might as well. So you can find it both at local stores and local markets. They're out every weekend, so you want to follow them on social media or their website, clevertea.com. That's KLEVRT, as in the stuff you drink, TEA.com, where you can find out more about their blends and also get sneak peeks of what's to come, because they're not stopping here with this. They got, there's other benefits out there that you might want to get from what you're drinking throughout your day. So all the stuff that you can find out about them, clevertea.com, KLEVRTEA.com.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Heavy traffic on I-10 westbound between Yarborough up to the roadwork scene at Viscount right now, with a right lane closure, merge left to get by. This is ongoing until about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Also an injury crash on Hercules at Railroad Drive. Avoid delays in the area. Take an alternate route like Diana for north-south travel. That's a look at your latest El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Discover. Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. It's amazing because Discover is accepted at 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report limitations apply.
Hey folks, this is Andrew J. Polk. As the days get shorter, you don't want to get caught in the spooky situation of not knowing where to go to get quality medical care and services when you need it. From the routine to minor medical emergencies, my go-to is Dr. Alan Carpenter and his team at Upper Valley Urgent Care Center. From shots and testing to aches, sprains, breaks, and the rest of the unplanned parts of your day, they're at the ready with walk-ins accepted 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week at 121 East Red Road. Celebrating their 15th anniversary this fall, Upper Valley Urgent Care Center. Time for another Medicare moment with Eric with Advocate Health Advisors. Can veterans enroll anytime throughout the year to get into these options we've talked about?
Under certain circumstances, yes, they can. A veteran may change their Medicare plan anytime throughout the year. This may also apply to a veteran spouse. What we do is we receive many hours of training on exactly how to use the special enrollment period to make this available to veterans and their spouses if available.
So for more info on those details and much more, call Eric, your local advisor, wherever you're hearing this broadcast at 1-800-876-0214. That's 1-800-876-0214.
Hi, this is Rick from the Air Conditioning Company. The cold air is coming, so now's the time to get your furnace working right. If your unit's more than 20 years old, it's inefficient and doesn't have the new safety devices. The new furnaces are more efficient and pay for themselves. Act now and get the best prices of the year and save up to 25%. Our expert techs can put money back in your pocket. Call 842-8615 today or log on to airconditioningcompanyllc.com. The Air Conditioning Company. You'll love our company. License number 26622E.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling on it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off for school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the many social media pages, including facebook.com/Talk El Paso, where we got John Brazelton, Leroy Chuck, and others tuning in and chiming in right now. John Brazelton bringing up the signing of the redistricting, the, 4 layers? Something like that going on here in Texas statewide. And, by the way, not done with it yet. We got the local redistricting because we got those city council seats. We have got county commissioner seats to a certain extent and other various precincts, fun stuff. going to be coming with that. Those are the two major ones, but it could see school board realignments as well. There were education board, the kind of the state of Texas stuff that happened previously, and that was signed into law by the governor today. But John bringing up a very interesting point about redistricting, particularly at the state levels there, that with Abbott signing it in, specifically calling out Democrats here, saying they're crying in their beer and suing in court yet, and what Democrats do the same thing in California, NY State, Illinois, etc. It's okay, what a bunch of two-faced so-and-sos, his point there. That's a real issue that I have with this issue in general because, okay, specifically, yeah, we have partisan issues going on in those states and our state, but I just get real uncomfortable whenever it comes down to we have not the electors, the electorate choosing those who get elected, but we have those who are elected choosing who elects them. That just gets a little weird for me. And it went the way expected, both in our state and in those states, as is to be anticipated. I would find myself in favor in general, and this would probably take a constitutional amendment to do, so I'm not going to hold my breath on it, but the idea of it being that districts should be as competitive as possible, because sure, there might be erosion of power and basis of whichever particular party is in control of a particular standpoint. At the same time, if there's someone where it's a safe district, it gets a little weird, doesn't it? It ends up becoming that, well, as long as I say certain things and then don't actually have to do anything, because voter turnouts are so great, aren't they? Everywhere, constantly, and totally holding them all accountable. That's sarcasm. I may be getting in a little bit too deep for myself here. Point being that I would love to see more competitive districts, but it ends up not to happen much that way. So we do have that coming up for the local area, and it's an interesting situation coming up with it. We have seen some districts here in El Paso, more specifically, lose significant amount of populations, whereas some here, according to the city council agenda, particularly District 5, or the current District 5 anyway, which centers around that kind of intersection between Zaragoza and Loop 375 up in, I guess we're calling that the Far East side now, or whatever calling it. It increased by about 35,000 people between these last censuses, while some of them lost up to 11,000 people. So we're basically saying that core parts of the city are being not as many, and then the outskirts, including northeast, parts of northwest, and again Far East, I guess is what we want to call it, seeing those thousands come there. Total city population increased by about 30,000. So again, not total stagnation, but not the growth being seen within city limits anyway that other parts of Texas were, and that's part of why we're having the issues that we're seeing with those other parts of redistricting. But that's going to be its own realignment. It's going to have to happen. Some districts are going to have to get smaller and some bigger, or reapportioned, or all that kind of fun stuff, because they're out of whack right now. So expect changes coming from there. So that's another fun thing going on along with what's going on within city council. And one other little tidbit that was on the actual agenda here for today, if I can get the computer to cooperate and pull it up, was actually an instruction to the city attorney to actually cease doing a certain kind of case that we have going on right now. More specifically, again, if I can get it to cooperate here, besides outside of the significant consent agenda, worth looking at here. So yeah, the item we were talking about earlier was item number 22, discussion and action to direct the city manager and staff to come back at the next November 23rd city council meeting with an estimate of how much the multipurpose Performing Arts and Entertainment Center MPC project would cost if it were executed today. See how that actually ends up working. But then another one that would be of interest, I think, to a lot of our listeners, number 23, discussion and action to direct the city attorney to drop litigation related to the mandated use of mask and facial coverings currently in the 8th Court of Appeals, and to cease all staff work related to said litigation in order to better prioritize staff time and taxpayer funds towards efforts more likely to be successful. Haven't seen any updates on that one, but watch this space. Particularly, I'm sure we'll get the update on that tomorrow. So that's another interesting one there that has been much talked about, particularly on this program here. But also wanted to mention what's going on in some of the national governmental spaces, particularly the national legislature, doing even more investigation and discussion onto, well, impacts of social media. And this has been something that we've, of course, talked about. We've felt it ourselves here. But really, when it comes down to the whole issue of children, again, I've long thought of social media, at least in its current incarnation, as could be easily subtitled mental health disaster for kids. And getting beyond the whole, they on their phone too dang much, which, you know what, personal preferences, however you want to run your family, fine, whatever. But the aspects of it are getting a lot more focus onto it, and y'all have sent me some messages and stuff about this. And well, just we had specifically Connecticut Democrat Richard Blumenthal questioning leadership at TikTok, YouTube, and Snap or Snapchat.
All of this research and facts and disclosures send a message to America's parents. You cannot trust big tech with your kids.
Also referring there to a dark rabbit holes gone down on social media. Done a bit of that kind of research myself here. There's a lot of stuff that I follow that wouldn't necessarily call it an interest of myself, but I want to know what's going on in those spaces and what's being talked about. And it's really easy to fall down those. And even though it's not technically censorship, but I don't have a better phrase than censorship going on for some of the more mainstream stuff. It also has a serious blind spot to a lot of other, you can get into some really, really weird spaces and niches, even on what are supposed to be highly monitored and controlled social media areas. And they had some of the persons representing these companies talking about specific ways and tools and methods of keeping them in place, but kind of comes not exactly satisfactory, at least not to my mind. I don't even have kids, and this is not something that I'm totally trilling at. This TikTok vice president, Michael Beckerman.
Turning a blind eye to areas where we can improve is not part of our company's DNA. But most importantly, we strive to do the right thing, protecting people on the platform.
Now, one of the reasons I want to bring this up is that some of the message that y'all have been sending me on specifically, I mean, this kind of coming out of the same vein, at the very least, of what's going on with the Wall Street Journal investigations, the documents leaked to them, the whistleblower going on social media, and some of the concern being here that essentially what it seems to come down to me, the way it's been presented to me anyway, is of basically being false flag. That really, when it comes down to that, and what we heard in that last bit, and also them talking about safety controls and parental controls, but also starting to get into more government outreach, that this is something being done coordinatedly as a way to essentially wash their hands of it and then have the government step in, which then, if trends continue, would literally be censorship. But even if that was occurrent there, I don't see it as transparently as some of y'all, again, messaging me about this, but I want to say, if that's the goal, that they're wanting to wash their hands of it, just focus on the money and have the censorship done by the ones who people actually do, by definition, censorship, I think that's going to backfire on them. There's already more than a few elected representatives on both sides of the aisle on Capitol Hill interested in at least having the discussion about breakups and removing of monopoly status in certain areas, which it's an interesting comparison to think about these in kind of the way of the whole Bell and how we end up with Southwestern Bell and all the telecommunications companies we have these days. But I don't think it's going to work out that way. Even if this is something that they're planning it and wanting to have their own aims served here, I am not, given that we still have, I think the guy who said the internet is a series of tubes, is he still in office? I'm 90% sure he's still in office, but I don't even know the guy's name. I'll search it up here during the break and see what his status is. But given that lack of understanding of how these things work, to expect them to say, okay, we're just going to hand off those responsibilities to the government and be done with it and keep making tons of money with no repercussions ever, yeah, that's a plan that has totally worked in the long run and for anyone ever. But in the meantime, we're caught in the middle, so let's have fun with it. We're getting to the end of a segment here, so we're going to do what we usually do. Then Leroy Chuck also chiming in about benefits of that, kind of agreeing with you there, but we're going to do what we usually do at this point in time, which is open up those phone lines as we head into that next break. So that number to call, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Yeah, interesting conversations going on here. I'll let you read that one for yourself if you're over on our social media. Taking those calls, getting more comments after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Even if you're not worried about your, mental health impacts from this, your physical health is something that you should always keep in mind and have an eye towards, and particularly when you're dealing with those minor medical emergencies, that unplanned disruptors of your day that you have to deal with. Resource that I keep in mind and then go to when the time calls is that of Upper Valley Urgent Care Center, 121 East Red Road, just west of I-10 at Red Road. So it's a pretty easy arrival point from wherever you're going. And I know people come from all sides of town because they trust the resources, Dr. Carpenter and his team over there with their 20 exam rooms and walk-in availability 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. So you got your nights, you got your weekends, you got your holidays covered when you're looking at that need, because of course it doesn't happen. You can't put it down on the schedule. So knowing where to go for those, dealing with those aches, scrapes, sprains, breaks, bruises, injuries of all kinds, and sniffles, testing, vaccines, and more definitely has to be, at least for me and my family, Upper Valley Urgent Care Center.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
I'm Justin Cree with your CBS 4 News Update. The city of El Paso remains in a legal battle against Governor Greg Abbott's ban on mask mandates. The city attorney's office has spent more than 395 hours fighting lawsuits attached to the city's mask mandate. El Paso City Attorney Carla Neiman was asked about what that might mean in dollars for the time worked. She says they do not bill hourly, as they are city employees. Well, we're learning more about a huge construction project in Las Cruces that is already behind schedule. The $33.4 million I-25 and University project has a new deadline. The New Mexico Department of Transportation says the project started in January of 2020 and was supposed to be done in July. However, the pandemic created some delays. They faced a worker and material shortage that pushed their deadline back. Work is expected to be completed by next month. With your CBS 4 News Update, I'm Justin Cree.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
Heavy traffic on I-10 westbound between Yarborough up to the roadwork scene at Viscount right now, with a right lane closure. Merge left to get by. This is ongoing until about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Also an injury crash on Hercules at Railroad Drive. Avoid delays in the area. Take an alternate route like Diana for north-south travel. That's a look at your latest El Paso traffic.
From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, this is Chief Meteorologist Sandra Diaz. Our wind maker is swinging through the borderland and will take its time to move on out on Wednesday, which basically means that we are going to continue with winds even after the wind advisory expires, which means tonight's winds could still be to around 20 to 25 miles an hour, stronger wind gusts on the east side. Keep in mind this system also drags in some much cooler air, so a taste of fall finally returns.
This report is sponsored by Dell Technologies.
Sometimes it feels like your business is going 100 miles an hour, barely keeping up. Dell Technologies advisors have the Windows PCs and tech you need to help you get past whatever's in front of you. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
Hi, this is Rick from the Air Conditioning Company. How would you like to save $15,000 or more on your refrigerated air system? The Air Conditioning Company can help you do that. An improperly installed unit can cost you thousands and shorten the life of your equipment. Act now and get the best prices of the year on your AC and furnaces. Let our expert tech put money back in your pocket. Call 842-8615 today or log on to the Air Conditioning Company, LLC.com. The Air Conditioning Company. We love our company. License number 26622E.
Take control of your health and stay on top of the latest medical innovations by tuning in every Saturday at noon to Medical Hackers with Dr. Sandy Brow, board-certified vascular interventionalist, with healthcare hacks to help you navigate our complex medical system and insights on treatments for common medical problems weekly on News Radio 690 KTSM. Have a question for the doc? Submit them ahead of the show by emailing rao@medicalhackers.com. That's Medical Hackers with Dr. Sandy Brow, coming this Saturday at noon right here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. It's amazing because Discover is accepted at 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report limitations apply. This report is sponsored by Discover.
Over-the-counter pain medications can be bought without a prescription and are intended to reduce fever and temporarily relieve minor aches and pains. There are two main types of over-the-counter pain medicines, acetaminophen and NSAIDs. Although both types of pain medications treat the same symptoms, they work in different ways and have different risks and benefits. That's why it's important to always read and follow the drug facts label on your medicine. If you have any questions, ask your healthcare professional or pharmacist.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Another way to stay informed about particularly medical currents that are going on with a lot of issues that are happening. You well know what's going on both in the kind of public health realm and what to do for your own personal health. And that's why you should make sure to tune in every Saturday at noon to the Medical Hackers with Dr. Sandy Brow. Uses that phrase, medical hackers, in the positive sense, as in helping you navigate our complex medical system and stay on top of the latest medical innovations with insights on treatments for common medical problems. Definitely medically focused. Again, Saturdays at noon here on 690 KTSM. But if you're also looking to get your own questions submitted to the doc, wondering how to deal with these things, or does something a procedure, minimally invasive, or what have you want to know about, you can email him at rao@medicalhackers.com, at RAO@medicalhackers.com. Be sure to tune in Saturdays at noon right after the El Paso History Radio Show on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-54-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the social media pages, including facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the YouTube page, Talk El Paso, Twitter @Talk El Paso, or even on Twitch, which is Andrew J. Polk. Also a few other ones, other pages that the show's up on. A lot of ways you're going to join the conversation by doing so. So, a lot of stuff we're talking about here today, including impact of social media, some commentary on the hearings that are going on. John Hurt's asking me why I didn't fully read his comment. When it starts getting scatological, I get a little concerned with the FCC. So as long as y'all promise not to report me, referred to it is as social media is like a shark makes a mess of everything. Again, you can see the commentary, both the ones I can and can't read on air, by going over to the social media pages. Facebook is kind of still the main one, at least how we consider it. So if you want to see it for yourself, it's where the Skeptic Squad lives. So nothing is taken for granted is the best way I'm going to diplomatically put that at this point here. A lot of lively discussion and debate is the other diplomatic way I will put it. So you're welcome to go and find it over there as well. Then I also have Louis Pinato, Michael Perez, John Brazelton, and more tuning in here. Leroy Chuck as well. I mean, yeah, it's a interesting situation with the rules that we have here. And again, even without the whole political implications of what might be going on with social media pages for a while here, it's been an interesting situation just how self-censorship, frankly, has been evolving on the platforms where you can't even say, I wonder if this will get its reach cratered because I said the word shark. We will see. But in the meantime, other considerations, I mean, I do think that a personal responsibility, particularly parents raising your damn kids, is an important thing. But Leroy Chuck saying if parents don't teach their kids self-control, then don't be surprised when kids abuse it. It's not the same thing. Even when I was a youngster growing up here, it's so much that you just can't see unless you literally have a window into that device. And I mean, the whole me growing up, oh, I can't watch that at home, so I'll go over to a friend's house to watch it. It's take that to turn it up to 11 is what it's really coming down to. But we got a lot more that we'll be talking about as well. Also have to mention some of our sponsors here. Talk El Paso, brought to you in part by Monterey Asset Management. If you're tired of the ups and downs in the stock market, consider investing in real estate. Monterey manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. Check out their new website, m1ep.com. That's m1ep.com to learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation of investing in real estate. You can also call certified property manager Ray Baca at 915-592-4549 or 915-592-4549. Thank you to our sponsors. Please support them as they support us in our mission to bring back live talk radio here to the borderland. So some of the things we're talking about, again, redistricting going on, the whole city council thing, John Brazelton with another point about that, and some support that was happening in some of this, because these suits haven't just come out of nowhere, and it definitely has been costing local money is an upshot of it here. Again, I want to see the full comment for yourself. Specifically referring to a Houston oil man and Utah professor forcing the city to spend millions of unnecessary dollars for the legal fees. Not sure it's in the millions, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the millions. Definitely hundreds of thousands, I would estimate here, but I haven't seen a total. But again, we are taking calls throughout the end of the show here on this and all the things that affect us here in the borderland. So if you want to call in, that number to do so, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Speaking of both legislation, but also elected officials and decisions being made in all of these arenas, we do have the election going on right now. Not necessarily many local positions on the Texas side of things. New Mexico, absolutely, particularly Doña Ana, dozens of positions on there that will decide a lot of things. Bond issues as well, that hopefully we'll have more on a little bit later this week. But to a point about voter turnout, this subject that I love to hate and hate to love, we have been seeing in this constitutional amendment election we have going on right now, not great turnout both statewide and, surprise, worse locally. About 4 to 5% estimated statewide. So just take a wild guess at what we're looking at here locally. Just wild. Just spitball any number you think, and it's going to be lower than that. That's what it comes down to, doing the numbers based off of the day 8 early voting turnout, plus mail-in ballots that have been returned by this point from the city of El Paso, the city, county, or just the actually county elections department, which you can see for yourself at epcountyvotes.com. We have about a 1.5% voter turnout this far. Now, I have not gone to vote yet. Plan to do it as we get closer to the weekend. I'm also not in Canutillo, where they have that major election and bond issue going on, but still 1.5%. I swear I'm going to get like a cricket bag and have just the tallies put onto it, and then I'm going to have like a piñata or something in effigy that I'm going to beat with it, because this is ridiculous. We need to get more people out there. So for those of you who have voted, thank you. And those of you who have not yet, take everyone you know. Anyway, get into those calls on the line here. Again, that number to call, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. You're live with Talk El Paso. Who's this?
Hey, good afternoon, Andrew. This is Tony Westside. You talk about voting. I'm one of those disillusioned voters that didn't vote this time or haven't voted because I don't even see how I can make a dent, But if I heard you correctly, we mainly just have these school board candidates, right? Could you go over a couple other candidates for me? I think most of us I've been listening to you a lot. I'm not up to date with that stuff.
Oh, sure thing.
Do you have time to give me some of the top candidates for what other offices?
Absolutely. I mean, being informed on this is very important. So if you've got confusion about this, I'm sure that others out there are in a similar position. So on the Texas side of things, particularly in El Paso County here, we have got throughout our area those Texas state constitutional amendment propositions that are on the ballot, 8 of them. Some of the major ones of contention, at the very least, being number 2 really seems to be the one, at least the way people have been talking about it. This would allow counties to just read it out here. The constitutional amendment authorizing a county to finance the development or redevelopment of transportation or infrastructure in unproductive, undeveloped, underdeveloped, or blighted areas of the county, which is being widely read and analyzed to basically mean that counties will have the power that previously only municipalities had of being able to issue bonds or debt in furtherance of that. Previously, I mean, counties, they don't have zoning power, they don't have bond issuing power, so they don't have a lot of the same powers that municipalities do, but this would change that in that particular way. There's also others out there. You can read it for yourself again, epcountyvotes.com. You can find all of the propositions on our current ballot here. And then also specifically, they do have the Canutillo Independent School District has their bond that is up there, that $187 million combined, because it's under 2 propositions of one of $177 million and then a $10 million addendum to it. So $187 million is the number to keep in your mind for that bond within the Canutillo Independent School District. So no positions on the Texas side of things, but on New Mexico, let me step away from the mic and grab my list here. There are a significant amount, including more bonds for the Las Cruces School District, the Hatch Valley Public School District, Gadsden Independent School District, respectively. Those are of $50 million, not above $1.8 million, and $38 million. So we've got hundreds of millions of dollars on the ballot in terms of bonds within our listening region here. Again, just El Paso County and Doña Ana County a ton. And then literally within New Mexico, we have Las Cruces Public School District, Doña Ana Soil and Water Conservation District, Lower Rio Grande Public Waterworks Authority, Anthony, a whole lot of them, Town of Mesilla, Village of Hatch, City of Anthony, City of Las Cruces, City Park, Gadsden Independent School District, Hatch Valley Public School District. So they both got bonds and positions on the ballot here. So if you're living in any of these areas, and I do mean any of these areas, 2 resources to know, epcountyvotes.com, or go look for the Doña Ana County Clerk's Office, because Texas side of things, significant things, but just a ton, like literally 2 full sheets of just not even the candidates on here, but the positions that are coming up in Doña Ana here. So these are significant elections and will impact pocketbooks for years, and I do mean years to come. But traditionally, this being neither A, a presidential election year, or B, even the midterm elections, it's looking pretty dismal. Again, like less than 5% statewide turnout so far, including mail-in ballots, so not even the people just going to the polls, but about 1.5% here locally within the city of El Paso. So that's fun. Actually, not even just the city, the county. Got about 500,000 registered voters here within the county of El Paso, and we have 1.5% of them heading out. So please, please, please go out and vote. So hope I answered your question there, Tony.
Andrew, thank you so much for that rundown. Can I make one, now that I know that, can I make another comment real quick?
Sure thing, briefly if you can.
I got, real fast, I got an email from Juanita Broderick, Jennifer Flowers, and Paula Jones, and Lewinsky, and Miss Wiley. They all wanted me to tell the fella from the Northeast that Donald Trump is a Boy Scout compared to Bill Clinton.
I'd love to see that email. That's all I'm going to say about that. So thank you very much for that point and that call there. Again, we're taking those calls throughout the rest of this hour. Overdue here for it right now. So that number to call is 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. A lot of stuff talking about here, including local elections, local redistricting, how you're going to vote, who you can vote for, gas prices. Leroy Chuck making a fun point about that. All that more. And your calls coming up after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Whatever you may be thinking about the health issues going on in our day, and there's a significant amount of them, don't forget that it is still October, and that means it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So, in support of that, El Paso's own Therapeutics and Thermography, Inc., which is located inside Biometrics at 935 Sunland Park Drive, is offering $50 off all breast thermograms for the rest of the month here. So what that means is that you can get $50 off this other tool in your arsenal to help you detect and ideally prevent disease as much as possible. But early detection, almost as important, particularly for those of you who may be predisposed or getting into those areas. They can get it. And don't forget, more than just women can get breast cancer. So you can give them a call at 915-401-4053. That's 915-401-4053 to claim your $50 off of breast thermograms. Again, just another tool you can use to image that can show what's going on below the surface that the naked eye or even other methods can't see, and in different ways, FDA approved and fully reviewed by licensed physicians. So you can also find them online at elpasothermography.com. That's El Paso, TheRmography.com.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Heavy traffic on I-10 westbound between Yarborough up to the roadwork scene at Viscount right now with a right lane closure. Merge left to get by. This is ongoing until about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Also an injury crash on Hercules at Railroad Drive. Avoid delays in the area. Take an alternate route like Diana for north-south travel. That's a look at your latest El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Discover. Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. It's amazing because Discover is accepted at 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report limitations apply.
Hey folks, this is Andrew J. Polk. As the days get shorter, you don't want to get caught in the spooky situation of not knowing where to go to get quality medical care and services when you need it. From the routine to minor medical emergencies, my go-to is Dr. Alan Carpenter and his team at Upper Valley Urgent Care Center. From shots and testing to aches, sprains, breaks, and the rest of the unplanned parts of your day, they're at the ready with walk-ins accepted 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week at 121 East Red Road. Celebrating their 15th anniversary this fall, Upper Valley Urgent Care Center.
Hi, Phil Swift here. When that next storm is barreling down, get prepared with the Flex Seal family of products. Floods can destroy your home. Push Flex base deep into cracks and holes to help prevent flooding. Seal doors and windows, patch leaky roofs and downspouts. Remember, when that storm is coming your way, keep your family safe and dry. Be prepared with the Flex Seal family of products. Available at flexsealproducts.com and fine retailers.
Hi, this is Rick from the Air Conditioning Company. The cold air is coming, so now's the time to get your furnace working right. If your unit's more than 20 years old, it's inefficient and doesn't have the new safety devices. The new furnaces are more efficient and pay for themselves. Act now and get the best prices of the year and save up to 25%. Our expert techs can put money back in your pocket. Call 842-8615 today or log on to airconditioningcompanyllc.com. The Air Conditioning Company. You'll love our company. License number 26622E.
Is finding the right candidate slowing you down? Cut straight to You're Hired with Indeed. Their hiring platform makes it easy to attract, screen, and interview candidates all in the same place. To find your next great hire, visit Indeed.com/credit.
Monterey Asset Management, superior multifamily property management services citywide.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
This is high blood pressure. Get back on your plan. Go to loweryourhbp.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
There won't be much substance on your news feed until you add us. Just like us or click on the link at kcsmradio.com. News Radio 690 KTSM.
We may be actually getting some of those fall temperatures coming up here, but just because we're out of the heat of the year doesn't mean you should stop thinking about your AC system. In fact, now would be the perfect time that you can save literal thousands on your refrigerated air system, whether you're looking to upgrade or just get the latest and greatest technology, because in the downtime, before you need it, that's the time to do that kind of work. So specifically, if you have an improperly or just old installed system there, can cost you thousands. So set yourself up for savings now and get some of the best prices of the year by calling the air conditioning company. You can give them a call at 842-8615, 842-8615. And again, log in those prices and let their expert techs put money back in your pocket. You can also find them at airconditioningllc.com. It's Air Conditioning Company, LLC.com. Take care of it now before we hit either way of the extreme of temperatures. But again, give them a call, 842-8615.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. A bunch of stuff we're talking about here today, including elections, bond issues, what's going on with redistricting here in the local area, and of course, social media stuff. It's always so fun here. And so we've got Michael Pettis, Leroy, Chuck, Louis Pinato, John Hertz, a few more over here. Also tuning in over on our social media pages. Don Browse within a little bit earlier. So a lot of stuff to be talked about here. And Leroy and Chuck bringing up a very important position and why I've pushed to be able to do this kind of show for literal years, saying that other than this radio station, haven't heard much, I don't think, about our election. It's like local leaders don't care either. I'm going to say it's less bad than it used to be. It's not good. I'm not saying it's good at any point here, but we used to have so many off-term elections, all the weird ones, stuff happening in like August for like city council and mayoral stuff. So it's better than it used to be, but we still, I think, have a decent amount of election fatigue here. Again, it's hard to be outraged all the time, right? It's just not an emotion you can sustain, which is why I don't subscribe to it as something that is useful. Again, if it gets you to the ballot box, fine. I'll allow it. That's my power to allow. But when it really comes down to being engaged and energized and just paying attention is one of the better solutions for me. So that's why we talk about this. And there's only so many, hours, column inches, et cetera, that can be really done here in town. And that's why I both appreciate the fact that we have more reporting going on in town in certain small ways, including with the Puente News Collective, maybe some of our own new partnerships coming up here. Stay tuned for that. But focusing on these issues and being able to just even have the space to have that discussion, because having worked in other media, still watch it, subscribe, and, consume it myself, but being able to have that back and forth, one of the reasons we do this, and that's why we will take calls throughout the end of the hour here, so we might squeeze in one more if so desired. That number to do so, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Also concerns about gas and things going up here. Michael Pat is making the point there with the price of fuel. Some people might not be able to afford to get to work there. It is its own real set of issues, absolutely. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. And what we're going to be bringing you, if you want a little preview of what we got working on for later this week, is probably more focused, again, on some of those bond issues as well, particularly for the Canutillo Independent School District. But again, only one of four actually happening in our area. That's on the Canutillo and Texas side of the ballot. But in New Mexico, they've got more. So we've got a lot of public dollars up for decision going on in this election. So really when it comes down to, with that fairly dismal voter turnout so far, your vote is almost, I want to say that we've hit lows similar to this, but maybe not quite this low previously, so that your vote literally has more of an impact than most other previous elections here. I mean, it always makes an impact at the very least, to prove to the powers that be that the general public is paying attention, because honestly, I think a lot of this stuff doesn't come down to, well, we're going to try to pull the wool over their eyes and get something past them. It's not even that sinister or much effort that it takes here. It's literally just well, no one's paying attention, so we got to deal with A, those that actually go out and vote, B, the affectionately referred that I refer to them as ankle biters who go and post about or go to meetings and actually address city council members or whatever elected officials directly. That's nowhere near even a significant portion of the population that actually go out and do that. So it can be easy in the minds of those who are elected or those who are in essentially the employed side of government there, on the city manager side, city staff, county staff, et cetera, thinking that, well, these are just the crazies who go out of their way to actually pay attention to this stuff. And I just got to say, I kind of reject that as something that only a crazy amount of subset should do. I mean, having talked with those people and people who have frequented those meetings in the past there's often a usual overriding priority that is very personal to them that gets to there. But again, really encourage everyone to get involved, to watch this stuff, even just look at the agenda items. You might find more than you expect that is important to you that's on the ballot. It often surprises me, even like we got today, including that city manager thing. As you heard in the news update at the bottom of the hour, that's an issue here. So, you know what? We are out of time here for this show. So I want to thank everyone who did call in, comment, participate in the show. We'll do it again tomorrow, 4 to 5 p.m. right here on News Radio 690 KTSM. I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk. Stay safe out there. Look twice for motorcycles when out on the road. And have a great evening, y'all. See you tomorrow. Time for a Medicare moment with Eric with Advocate Health Advisors. If I'm a veteran listening today and interested in knowing more, what would I do?
So if you are or know a veteran or family member looking to get answers concerning VA healthcare and Medicare, or just have Medicare questions in general, please feel free to contact me, Eric Lowenberg. I'm a licensed agent with Advocate Health Advisors, and thank you for your service.
So for more info, have that conversation, call Eric, your local advisor, wherever you're hearing this broadcast, at 1-800-876-0214. Again, 1-800-876-0214.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Heavy traffic on I-10 westbound between Yarborough up to the roadwork scene at Viscount right now with a right lane closure. Merge left to get by. This is ongoing until about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Also an injury crash on Hercules at Railroad Drive. Avoid delays in the area. Take an alternate route like Diana for north-south travel. That's a look at your latest El Paso traffic.
All right, let's introduce you to the TrustedLab.com. It's Teresa, and people are always asking what products I use. They want good recommendations. The TrustedLab.com have products for everyone. And it's a Texas company, lab-tested CBD, and made in America. So it's a no-brainer. This product is the best. I use their CBD to